Aizawa stood, scarf coiling like a live thing. That wasn't recklessness. The monitor reflected in his dark eyes, Izuku's crystallized arm glowing back at them. That was asterisk calculated breakthrough. He headed for the door. My class, no arguments. As the door hissed shut, Nedzu giggled into his tea. Behind him, Midnight fanned herself. Hot. Aizawa's office light flickered, just once, as the last of his coffee went cold. Spread across his desk, Midoriya Izuku's middle school disciplinary records, asterisk excessive quirk usage in hallways asterisk reckless endangerment during gym asterisk, all stamped with the same red uncontrollable. And beside them, Dr. Shuzenji's recent evaluations. Kinetic absorption efficiency increased 300% since age 13 asterisk. No structural damage post-overuse since second year. The contradiction glared brighter than his laptop screen. He rotated the x-rays slowly. Midoriya's bones, dense as a pro's, healed fractures aligned asterisk 2 asterisk perfectly, shouldn't exist alongside reports calling him fragile asterisk. Aizawa's fingers hovered over one particular note. Student refuses peer assistance during training. Prefers solo drills despite documented collaborative potential. Outside, wind scraped tree branches against the window like claws. Aizawa leaned back, letting the shadows swallow him whole. He knew patterns, knew how institutions buried them. But this. His cursor hovered over Kirishima Ijiru's transfer records from Itami Middle. Same district, same year. He clicked. The screen flared white as Aldera's student directory loaded, then froze, glitching unnaturally around Midoriya's profile photo. The boy's face was blurred. Aizawa's scar twitched. No school admin was that asterisk incompetent. He reached for his capture weapon, just as the door creaked open. Shouta! Nedzu's silhouette barely cleared the threshold, but his eyes gleamed like polished knives. Curious about our resident kinetic anomaly. Aizawa didn't turn. You altered his file. Nosebleed, coughing fit. Nedzu's chuckle was a dry rasp. We both know Aldera's enthusiasm for quirk hierarchy. The principal stepped fully into the light, claws clicking against laminate, to tap Midoriya's middle school group photo. Notice anything. The other student's eyes flicked asterisk away from Midoriya. Not avoidance, asterisk fear asterisk. Except Aizawa's thumb smudged the pixelated edge where Bakugu's arm should have been around Midoriya's shoulders. The photo had been edited. Nedzu sipped imaginary tea. Fascinating what people asterisk omit, isn't it? Aizawa's scarf slithered to life. He had a hunch, and a problem child to interrogate at dawn. Nedzu sighed. Shouta, he murmured, tail flicking once, a warning disguised as a shrug. Their records are sealed under the Quirk Potential Preservation Act. His claws tapped the desk, punctuating each word like a judge's gavel, meaning Aldera's board legally erased whatever they did to him. The silence that followed was volcanic. Aizawa's fingers twitched toward his phone, not to call the school, but to text Tsukachi. Nedzu caught his wrist with surprising strength. Not this time. His voice dropped, fur bristling. Midoriya's file isn't just censored, it's booby-trapped. Trigger an inquiry now, and his entire academic record gets purged. He released Aizawa with a pointed glance at the blurred photo. We protect him by asterisk waiting. Aizawa exhaled through his nose. The capture scarf stilled. Nedzu took that as his cue to vanish, leaving behind the faintest scent of burnt paperwork. Dawn painted the infirmary windows blood orange when Izuku woke to fingers prodding his ruined arm. NNGH. Don't move. The voice was flat, exhausted. Aizawa loomed over him, black smudges under his eyes darker than usual. His thumb pressed deliberately into a fatting scar along Izuku's triceps, old from middle school. Aldera's nurses log quirk-related injuries. He held up Izuku's swollen forearm like a specimen. This isn't your first fracture. Izuku's pulse jumped. Gold flickered under his skin, not from pain, but panic. Aizawa's gaze tracked it hungrily. You hid your quirk's evolution. Not a question. Aizawa leaned closer, the shadows hollowing his face into something skeletal. Why? Izuku swallowed. The truth tasted like rust. They'd stop me, his voice cracked, from applying. The sound seemed to decide something for him. He straightened abruptly, scarf coiling around his shoulders like a living thing. Recovery girl cleared you for light training. He tossed a gym uniform at Izuku's chest. Meet me at ground beta. Noon. Izuku blinked. Sir. Aizawa paused at the door, silhouette backlit by sunrise. You want to be a hero. His smile was all teeth. Prove you can break asterisks strategically. The door clicked shut. Izuku stared at his trembling hands, gold already pooling in his palms, and wondered if this was salvation or another kind of test. Across campus, Nedzu watched the security feed with a sigh. Ah, Shouta, always adopting the feral ones. The footage showed Midoriya Izuku standing frozen outside ground beta, his fingers twitching at his sides as golden energy flickered sporadically up his forearms, not from quirk activation, but from sheer nerves. Nedzu zoomed in. Fascinating. The boy had clearly recognized Aizawa's hero identity despite the lack of public photos. Clever child. Izuku swallowed hard, his tongue sticking to the roof of his mouth. He'd spent the last hour reviewing every blurry underground forum post he could find about Erasure Hero. Eraserhead, analyzing stance, scarf movements, the way he held his shoulders like a man permanently braced for disaster. The figure waiting inside the training grounds matched perfectly, down to the slight forward lean that suggested chronic sleep deprivation. When Izuku finally pushed open the gate, his sneakers scuffed concrete that still bore the faint scars of last year's hero course battles. Aizawa didn't turn. You're late. Izuku's voice cracked. His pulse hammered against his ribs, gold flaring in his throat like he'd swallowed lightning. Recovery girl said. I don't care what the old woman said. Aizawa finally pivoted, his capture scarf unraveling in slow, deliberate loops. Heroes don't get recovery time when villains attack. His eyes flashed red, just for a second, and Izuku's quirk winked out like a blown fuse. Show me what 7 years of hiding looks like. Izuku's breath hitched. His reflexes screamed asterisk duck before his brain registered the scarf lashing toward his ankles. He jumped, twisting midair, but Aizawa wasn't aiming low. The fabric wrapped his throat instead, yanking him into a brutal arc toward the concrete. Gold flared behind Izuku's eyelids. He hit the ground asterisk wrong, deliberately channeling the impact into his palms. Dust exploded outward in a shimmering cloud, not just debris, but a perfect replica of his own silhouette. Smokescreen. The moment Aizawa blinked, Izuku rolled left. His quirk roaring back to life, as golden energy wrapped around his injured arm. Aizawa's muffled curse confirmed it. He couldn't erase what he couldn't see. The dust clone dissipated just as Izuku kicked the ground, converting the motion into a shockwave that sent fresh debris spiraling between them. His lungs burned, but his grin was wild. He'd practiced this move with Kaken after watching an old Mirko fight, asterisk timing the dust cloud to the opponent's blink cycle asterisk, but seeing it work against asterisk Eraserhead. Nedzu's delighted cackle echoed from the observation deck speakers. Oh ho! Strategic kinetic usage. Aizawa emerged from the dust, scarf hanging limp. His eyes were dry, forced open, but his smirk was sharper than any blade. You memorized my quirk's cooldown, not a question. He stepped forward, boots crunching glass. How? His voice cracked. I analyzed underground heroes when they said kinetic types couldn't be daylight operatives. Gold surged beneath Izuku's feet as he spoke, threading through concrete pores like liquid lightning. He felt Aizawa's next step before it landed, the minute shift in air pressure, the scrape of boot soles. Perfect timing. Bullshit! Aizawa lunged, scarf whipping out, just as Izuku slammed both palms downward. The ground detonated. Not upward, not outward. Precisely along fault lines Izuku had mapped mid-conversation, fracturing the arena in a starburst pattern that launched them both asterisk skyward in a hail of golden shrapnel. Aizawa's scarf lashed empty air as centrifugal force wrenched them apart, Izuku already tucking into a spin, his glowing arm extended not to attack, but to catch Aizawa's wrist as they reached the arc's peak. Nedzu's teacup shattered somewhere far below. Wind roared in Izuku's ears as he channeled their combined momentum into his biceps, gold crystallizing into something denser than bone, and yanked Aizawa into a controlled descent. "Your turn!" he gasped, releasing him just shy of the shattered ground. Aizawa hit the debris rolling, his goggles askew. When he looked up, Izuku was already rebounding off a floating chunk of concrete, gold trailing from his heels like comet tails, to land lightly beside him. The silence was thicker than the dust. Aizawa exhaled through his nose. "That," he said, peeling a shard of glass from his capture weapon, "was reckless." Izuku's grin was all teeth. "Calculated." "Recalculated." Aizawa straightened, wiping blood from his chin. "Your file said you trained alone." His gaze flicked to the observation deck, where Nedzu was now gleefully smashing another teacup. "Bullshit again." Izuku went very still. "Show me," Aizawa growled, "what you really practiced." Gold pulsed in Izuku's throat. 7 years of pre-dawn sparring, of Kaken's explosions syncing with his kinetic surges until their quirks moved as one, flashed behind his eyelids. The ground trembled faintly beneath them. Aizawa's scarf coiled tight. Izuku breathed in and ignited. Izuku's fingers closed around Aizawa's capture scarf mid-fall, not fumbling, but precise, the way he'd practiced gripping Kaken's sweat-slick wrists during their hurricane sparring sessions. The fabric burned against his palm as he yanked, using the momentum to twist his body like a coiled spring. Aizawa's eyes flashed red again, erasure active, but Izuku didn't need his quirk for this. His thighs flexed, spiderweb scars across his knees, stretching taut, as he cracked his heel toward Aizawa's temple. The kick landed, but not on flesh. Aizawa's forearm intercepted it with a thud that reverberated up Izuku's spine, the impact vibrating through years of calcified microfractures. Izuku grinned through the pain. He knew that feel, knew the give of human bone better than most. Aizawa's answering smirk was a blade. "You telegraph!" His free hand shot out, fingers splayed toward Izuku's throat, but the kid was already moving, pivoting off the blocked kick to plant his other foot squarely on Aizawa's shoulder. The teacher's knees buckled under the weight, not from strength, from physics asterisk. Izuku's body was a living equation, every scar a variable solved. He backflipped off Aizawa's shoulders, gold flaring as his quirk surged back online when erasure broke. But he didn't use it. Not yet. His bare knuckles connected with Aizawa's ribs in a brutal jab, the impact singing up his arm like a struck tuning fork. Years hauling wreckage at Dagaba had forged his tendons into steel cables. Blood flecked Aizawa's teeth. His scarf lashed out, but Izuku ducked under it, his body folding at unnatural angles honed by dodging Kaken's point-blank blasts. He grabbed the trailing end of the scarf and yanked again, using the tension to knee Aizawa in the sternum. The teacher wheezed. Izuku didn't let go. Above them, Nedzu's laughter rang like shattering glass. Aizawa's eyes burned crimson once more, but this time Izuku was already inside his guard, forehead braced against his collarbone, breathing ragged. "Sensei," he panted, gold flickering in his veins like distant lightning. "You're blinking too much." And slammed his scarred forehead into Aizawa's nose. The crack echoed across the battlefield. Izuku stumbled back, tasting copper, his own blood trickling from where his forehead had split against Aizawa's nose. Gold pulsed weakly in his fingertips, his quirk flickering in time with his stuttering breaths. Aizawa didn't wipe the blood dripping down his chin. He just stared, dark eyes tracking the way Izuku's feet automatically redistributed his weight, left side forward, favoring the unbroken arm, preparing for a grapple. Every microadjustment was calculated, not instinctive. 3 moves. Aizawa's voice was rough, but his lips twitched just once. "You plan the scarf grab before the kick." His capture weapon slithered back into place as he straightened. "And you knew I'd blink after a hit like that." Izuku swallowed, throat dry. His body thrummed with exhaustion, but his mind. His mind was alive.